This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, scholars of the Ars Arcanum? This is Stephen, your host with Fantology Podcast. I have my lifelong friends, Josh and Jake, here. They're actually on camera together, which is kind of fun, a unique experience for us where we're mostly remote, but we're starting to get together here for Dragonsteel Nexus, which is going to be this weekend. It's going to be actually probably starting the day that this episode drops. We're going to try to get this dropped like right around time of the release of Wind and Truth. And that's our topic. And we're talking like theories, speculation. What do we think will happen in this book, Stormlight Archive number 5?
Nice. And we're going to avoid preview chapters, talking about preview chapters. So we'll just be talking about, I guess, spoilers for the first 4 books, obviously.
Obviously.
And bigger Cosmere spoilers if we need to. Should we put a warning on that if we get to it?
I mean, I think
I
at this point we have to just
Yeah.
accept that
Yeah.
it's
Like
full
if you're
Cosmere
reading Wind and
spoilers.
Truth, like like yeah, like Jake said, at this point, the Cosmere is like any additional Brandon book will spoil parts of the Cosmere if you haven't read them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Again, up through um, everything before this book is dropped. No preview chapters. We were talking before, and I feel like there could be a whole episode debating whether you like the people who prefer not to read the preview chapters. In my mind, that is insane. I get if you don't have time to, but anyways, that could be an episode unto itself. But we will
Well,
be
I think
will not be
some
touching
people
that.
some people don't enjoy reading on the internet as much. They want to, read the physical copy, or they want to go straight through without waiting for
Yeah.
the next weekly drop. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's understandable, but yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
I'd like to see the overlap between audiobook listeners and those who prefer not to listen to the preview chapters because they're all online as audio versions as well. So
Mhm.
You can't speed them up, though.
can you not? I haven't
I
tried.
haven't found a way to.
Through
Maybe on the computer you
through
can, but
YouTube? Aren't they on YouTube?
no, they're on SoundCloud.
SoundCloud? I
Uh,
don't know. I've
hmm.
exclusively read these. These have been my turn on some good soundtrack. Probably why I'm in the top 0.5% of Howard Shore listeners. Turn on that
You're gonna
Lord of the Rings soundtrack
you're,
while I
you're
read
gonna
these
Dude,
plug
there's
preview
not
that
chapters.
for the
0.5%.
third. That's the third time you've told me about that today, Jake.
Well, I plugged it in my high school group chat. I plugged it in the Fantology group chat. And yes, I'm plugging into the Fantology episode this week as well. Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. So, Howard Shore expert Jake, why don't you tell us, like, what are you? Maybe we start by saying, like, what's the big thing that you think Wind and Truth is going to like? What's going to be your takeaway? What are you really expecting? Like, the top thing that you think will happen, or just something about the book that you feel really confident in?
Yeah, this is hard. I was a lot more confident with a lot of theories before watching a bunch of theory videos leading up to this episode.
Mm.
I watched one. Man, I'm so bad at this. I watch YouTube videos and I don't remember what video said what. I'd love to give this creator a shout out. It was a smaller Cosmere creator. The title of their video was "What a Cosmere God's uh, Hidden Letter Said" or something like that, and it was a letter Sazed had written. If you could find that video from a smaller YouTuber, that's what I'm talking about. Anyways, a comment on that video talked about how they they thought that Taravangian as Odium was. I mean, we talked about this in our previous preparation for Wind and Truth about how like either way, Odium is trapped in the Rosharan system, but that comment mentioned that they're like Taravangian would probably be looking away to just be out of the contract completely. Like, and I'd never thought that that was even on the chopping block. So I
Mm.
think that is probably I think Taravangian being crafty is something that will for sure happen. Does that count?
Caravan, yeah, I think that's a Fantology
Yeah,
guarantee right
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Well, so we know that the original Dalinar Odium deal was made with Rays, and
Yeah.
Taravangian Odium, Todium, whatever you want to call him, was not a part of that. And so he just inherited this deal And so you think in the short amount of time, within the 10 days, there's going to be some craftiness, maybe even an attempt to completely renege on it?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, they've built it up so much that it would basically be like opening himself up to be able to be attacked by the other shards or something, right? It's the underlying theory.
I don't know all the justification, but it was literally not a thought that had crossed my mind until I had read that comment. And they pointed to at the end of Rhythm of War how his one interaction with Wit completely undid all of Wit's defenses, and that we should expect something similar when it comes
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
all of Rosharan's defenses, including the contract. Um, I wanted my like going to this, I wanted it to be the Gavinor as the champion. That's what I really wanted, and I think I don't know. I'm like
You
hesitant
want
on that
like
now.
you want that to happen, or you want to say that you feel confident that will happen as books are falling off in the background.
I did play with the Ouija board one time in this dungeon. So.
Not making me feel good, man.
I want to still believe that theory. I think I'm like from 100% down to like a 90% on that theory, I think. Of
Mm,
Gavinor, Dalinar's nephew being the champion he must face. And the theory that there's been lots of variations of that theory, but my mind was he wouldn't be able to kill Gavinor and thus would be
mhm.
defeated
Yeah.
because he had all this growth as a person would not let him become the Blackthorn
Yeah.
again.
And really, the springboard for this is that death rattle about like the suckling child holding the knife at the throat and
Mhm.
whatever that was from Way of Kings. I'm assuming that
Yeah.
that's where we got all those death rattles. Personally, I still hate this. Like, if this is the
Do
way it
you
plays out, I'm not gonna be happy.
Do you hate it because you think it would be bad storytelling, or do you hate it because you don't think there's enough evidence to support it?
Neither. I think it would be good storytelling for the reason you pointed out would in that Dalinar would be unable to do this because of all the growth as a person, and it would, it would take the positives and Odium would turn it against him, and that would be smart, right? Like, I think
Hmm.
that would be pretty good. And it's been hinted, I mean, a little bit. My issue with it is I just feel like Gavinor is just a non-factor through 4 books, and then you're gonna make him into the champion. Like the big thing that everyone's speculating on is gonna be
But
this kid. And I looked it up. I looked it up because we were talking about this earlier, Josh. I know you're gonna come in with this. His like the name Gavinor is doesn't even appear until Oathbringer. He's mentioned like 2 times. In Rhythm of War, he's mentioned like 4 or 5 times. And then in Wind and Truth, he's gonna be the freaking champion. Like
okay,
I
no,
don't I hate that. I just
So you
hate
you, th you think that's
how
bad storytelling
wait,
to build up
kid
that way?
the point isn't
to
him
take
being
him
the
in one book, to just say this kid who was nothing is now
no.
the
Okay, wait,
Three
thing.
three
wait,
And
books:
wait.
Oathbringer,
Okay, wait.
Rhythm of
no,
War.
no,
Let,
no,
let,
but no, but my point is he was barely mentioned in books 3 and 4. He's just, he's just this piece,
exactly.
this minor pawn that has done nothing. And now you're gonna in book 5, after thousands and thousands of pages of all these other characters, now sweep him in. I don't like that.
No, because that's the point. Is it's not him being the champion. It's it's Todium exploiting Dalinar's weakness slash compassion slash character growth to prevent the basically what Jake said, like find a loophole. Like it doesn't like it's not Gavinor being like now the big bad guy. It's Todium using an innocent, relatively innocent person to exploit Dalinar.
Yeah, would if
Fair.
hmm, I have that made me think more about the Teravangium exploiting. If Dalinar just refuses to fight, does that count as Dalinar losing the contest, or is the contract absolved? I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the
I'm
details of
not
the
sure.
contract on that. But I think I get what you're saying. And I think it falls in line with what I was categorizing as bad storytelling, and that like that doesn't make for a good story to kind of had something come out of nowhere in that way. Um, but I do think let's examine it according to like Brandon's own philosophy on surprises. Like, I don't remember the cut of it, but it
But
should be a surprise for what, like 20%
I
or
think it's 10, 80, 10,
10,
right?
80, 10. Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. So like 10% of people
His
should
like
have been able.
surprising yet inevitable thing that he
Well, no,
like that's his
10% of people like totally called it.
Yeah,
80% of people was like very satisfied by it, but kind of caught them off
yeah.
guard. And then 10% of people like didn't even
completely.
understand it after it happened and
Yeah.
like needed explained to them slash, you know.
Right.
I think this one, I mean, more people have caught on to this. I mean, just knowing by how popular it is. And
Yeah.
Maybe it still might be 10% though,
yeah, I don't
right
know.
around that. Yeah.
Based off of his other reveals and how well educated I've been on him, I feel like I understand this one more than I have in past surprises from
Yeah.
Brandon.
Part of it for
Um,
me is definitely the fact that there's been so much speculation. This has been out there for years. And if this is what's going to happen, it's not going to be surprising at all because it's already been discussed to death on YouTube.
I think for me, if there is an actual champion showdown, it makes the most sense. Um, and I do think Brandon is kind of prone to kind of throwing things that weren't there before. I wish I had a good example of this, but like Rabanel came out at like never seen before and was a big part of book four.
Yeah.
L was just randomly introduced at the end of book four, which we assume is going to be a big part of book five. Like I feel like he does that sometimes. There's only so
Yeah.
much you can put in one book, and I don't know if it's things he's come up with later or if things he's always intended to do but hasn't had time to fit it in. And like you said, if that death rattle refers to it, then at least there's been something building towards it. And
Mhm.
to Josh's point, you wouldn't need growth in character development in Gavinor for this to be effective in
You would
terms of a
need some
champion.
way to like Gavinor has to be pitted against Dalinar somehow. Like
Couldn't he just force him to swallow an unmade and then he becomes basically Amaram in book three? And
I
then,
guess.
I mean, how easy was it to get Elokar's wife under the
Yeah.
sway of the
Ace,
unmade? Like
Ace Sudan. Yeah.
Sudan, yeah.
And he's already been exposed to Unmade too, like from a young age.
Yeah.
I think it's
That's
been
true.
set up. I think it's been set up as well as I want it to be set up. If I read it, hadn't if I haven't like been seeing all the theories and everything, and that happened, I think it would be satisfying.
For me, yeah, I think I would be decently satisfied. I don't think any champion has been set up
Yeah,
in a super satisfying way in terms of like really leading up. Like I think the next closest would be maybe Adolin in terms of a
Mm,
like a surprise champion. And I don't to me that would be huge character growth in a short amount of time to make Adolin a
yeah.
champion.
It would have
I
had to start
I
after
wish
Road to Radiance.
yeah, I wish that the series had gone more in that direction because
Mm.
it seemed like his character arc was going in that direction at the end of Words of Radiance. And then he just kind of abandoned that whole like Adolin going dark thing. It was in there. I
Yeah,
mean, I
we
guess
talked
it was
about
never
this.
maybe it was never really the character or whatever, but I just think that would have been
I
cool
think
if that
him
had played through more.
yeah, his killing of Sadius I think was very I don't know if mishandle is the right word, but like
I didn't like
it
it.
was it was a huge missed opportunity to do something with that, and instead it was just minor drama between him
Yeah.
and
Well, plus
Dalinar.
Sadius was cool and he was just now eliminated entirely, like really
Yeah.
abruptly.
To do that, like that's like something that you'd see in like an Abercrombie book or Game of Thrones book. And like it would have huge consequences on that character and the plot moving forward. And I feel like it wasn't utilized as well as it could have been.
Hmm.
But so in my mind, it's either going to be in terms of champion, it's going to be somebody that hasn't been big into the book at all and not really built up. It's just going to be a chosen person to fight, or it's going to be Gavinor. That's most
Somebody
likely.
like the Mink could be kind of cool if somehow, the Mink
Hmm.
transform.
Dalinar
You
like
know,
betrays his promise
yeah,
to rescue her Daz and yeah, okay.
yeah.
What
There's some
about
other
L?
character.
Like, could L just
Yeah,
be the champion introduced at the end of the last book, and maybe he becomes a really cool character, in a few hundred pages in this book and he's the champion?
I think it could. I think that'd be less satisfying as Gavinor to me.
I
It would
I would
be
have a
about the same.
similar I would have a similar problem with that, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
can't have a double standard here because I just complained about Gavinor not being set up. Like, if that was to happen, I can't be happy with it because of my previous complaint.
Yeah. Anyways, I feel like I've taken up a lot of this. What about you, Josh? What's your number one prediction?
Number one prediction. I think that Dalinar. You can go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I think Dalinar loses.
You can't
I think
volunteer Jake to supplant your prediction.
No, yeah.
Jake's side over here.
I just had a realization, but go ahead.
Okay, so I think that Dalinar. I think that the idea of Dalinar being like Odium's chosen vessel to like go across the Cosmere and wreak havoc is just plain old too cool to not happen.
Yeah.
So I think that is going to get there somehow. That Dalinar becomes like the emissary of Odium.
Yeah, along that lines, I think the main thing I'm confident about is that Odium is going to win. And I don't know if he's going to win the actual contest or if he's going to win by getting himself out of the contest, but it will end with him winning. I think Kaladin will survive. He will win, and I'm not sure Dalinar's fate. So I think it's gonna have that bittersweet ending of there's going to be some continuance of humanity on Roshar, but the like larger Cosmere
I think like
is just beginning.
Yeah, I agree. I think.
So you think this is an
really
Empire Strikes Back type of ending?
Yeah.
I think that this needs to
at a large scale.
I think it kind of needs to be there's so many things floating around the Cosmere that there needs to be kind of an exciting event that kicks things off. And I think that this needs to be
Kicks off the larger war. Like
freeing
this is
Odium.
like, this is the Thanos is unleashed type of, after we've hinted at him for many, many movies, and now like he's gonna.
And we've replaced the actor.
Yeah.
I think that
from Raise the Terror. To Josh
Brolin. Yeah, this is when Josh Brolin becomes Thanos.
Yeah.
And he's unleashed.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with this one. I think that we're halfway through Stormlight. People are hyping up this book as if it's the conclusion of Stormlight. Like, no. First of all, like this is, there's going to be this is big. How could it possibly end in too much of a happy note? Because we're halfway through this series.
Did you see that there's I think it was Vanity Fair? Anyway, one of the big kind of trade public.
That article that came out today.
Esquire.
Esquire. Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
Esquire. Yeah, but Sanderson kind of pushed back against it being like he was like, no, this isn't my end game.
Yeah,
this
not
is
quite there yet.
this is
for sure.
I think that this is more along the lines of like maybe Avengers. What's that? The spy one? Civil War, not Civil War.
Yeah.
Was it Civil War?
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. No, that was Captain. That was a Captain America movie.
Yeah, I think Civil
Yeah,
War.
but there were a lot of
yeah.
I think Civil War in that it's kind of
It's bringing the pieces into position to start the larger conflict.
and bringing the pieces in position in a negative way.
Right.
Like
In a way that fractures the
fracturing everything before the larger conflict is going to start to take place.
Yeah.
Is that so what's your number one prediction, Stephen? Is that what yours was going to be?
It might have been. We wrote down a bunch of things, so I'll definitely let Josh have that one. Before we go on, what was your big realization? Do we need to revisit something?
No, it was that. It was like that was my main prediction. Just that Taravangian is going to get out ahead, which I fumbled in how I said that in the beginning, but just whether that means he's going to claim Dalinar's soul to be his avenger across the galaxy, or he's going to escape himself or something. I do think, but with that caveat, for whatever reason, I do think Kaladin survives. I don't think Kaladin is getting the release of death as of yet.
I think he does too, and I'll make this my major one because his arc, if he was to just die, it wouldn't work as far as his arc, because his arc is all about life before death, and he's had these like somewhat suicide moments, and he's come out of like, if he was to die, it wouldn't it wouldn't feel right. I mean, sure, he's definitely a character who could do a noble sacrifice and die, but it just wouldn't
That's
it
like
wouldn't fit into the
He
vibe
needs to
of
live
what he's done
life.
so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that would be giving in too much to the darker parts of himself. It would be like
Hmm.
it'd be giving him that release of I don't have to struggle against this darkness anymore. I can go out protecting people and then be done. Which is not a negative thing to do, but just for his arc itself, it's more learning to live with this pain than it is
Yeah. Yeah.
um yeah, sacrificing yourself for it.
Yeah.
I think yeah, someone who might be able to learn to sacrifice themselves. I don't know if anyone really has um that need of an arc or that like has that as like the focal point of their arc in the book so far.
So what about if it's, I can't spoil another series, but what if it's where he goes out and kind of like it looks like he's sacrificing himself, but he's able to kind of like ride off into the sunset without people knowing who he is, like knowing that he's alive. Like it looks like he
Okay.
died, but he's able to step away from like the larger conflict and stuff.
And what series could this be?
A series that is featured behind you, Jake.
But I can see it
Yeah,
being an ending like
I
that.
honestly, I don't like that either. I feel like so.
That
I
wouldn't give
feel
him
like
the
there's
yeah.
gonna be some kind of refounding of the Oath Pact. That's gonna be my thing. I don't think it's gonna be
In
like
book
as
five.
clean. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I think so. I've liked this for a while. Like, and the only thing that makes me maybe come off this a little bit is we've got this 10-day thing happening, and refounding of the Oath Pact seems like a really like something we got to build up for and have a little more knowledge of. But this has been hinted at for at least like fairly strongly in Rhythm of War, and I feel like we could get there, and maybe it won't be completely refounded, but I feel like some of our characters are going to become like somewhat of heralds, pseudo heralds, whatever you want to call it. They're going to take places in the Oath Pact, and that's going to kind of hold things together despite the odium. Odium will, I agree with you, he'll win the contest, but maybe he'll be still held back by,
Hmm.
our heroes kind of coming in and putting themselves on the line in order to prevent odium, Cosmere wide chaos. And I think Kaladin's a good candidate for this. So he would still be around, but he would take on a very different role. We know that there's going to be a 10 to 20 year time jump into book six.
Is that it? I thought it was gonna be larger than that.
I think that's it. In fact, in that article that you guys just mentioned, I think Sanderson said
Mm.
10.
Okay.
So, but I've
Oh,
heard
okay.
20, so I don't know. I don't know exactly, but
How
let's go with 10.
Yeah.
how cool would it be if Navani was the one that would have to reforge the Oath Pact and was the principal person in charge of keeping Dalinar like in check? That would be
So, I
pretty.
mean,
That would be pretty cool.
if
Like Dalinar's
Dalinar,
gone full fused.
If Dalinar
yeah,
is, yeah, yeah,
she's the only one that could,
Interesting.
right? I mean, she would be the bondsmith available to do
yeah,
to do this. And
yeah,
we know that a big part of this is going to be going to Ishar that was set up in Rhythm of War. Ishar has the knowledge of
Yeah.
how to do this. So I think Kaladin gets there. Him and Zeth are going over there. He gets some kind of knowledge. It gets communicated back. Something kind of comes together right as everything else seems to be falling apart. And they're able to hold on for a little bit longer.
I had assumed for most of the books that the Oath Pact would be refounded by the end of the series. Um, I always felt like by book five, it's a little too soon for that. They don't seem organized enough to do it. Maybe if like we know this book is mostly just going to be those 10 days, right? Um, maybe if there's like
I
an
mean, that's an
epilogue.
assumption as well, right?
yeah.
Like
That's actually something I've theorized a lot that it wasn't gonna. That
Oh, really?
I thought, but okay. We said we wouldn't talk about pre-chapter spoilers, but we do know kind of from pre-chapter spoilers, and I hope that this isn't people don't get mad at me. But the
Get
well,
book
mad at
maybe
is
me.
let's
broken
just not
up.
even say it. Like we know the
Okay.
pre-chapter spoilers have kind of revealed what the structure is going to be, but
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that kind of I always thought that the 10 days would happen at the ending of like the fourth, because the typical book has been broken up into 5 parts. I
mm,
thought that would be like
10 days by
10 days by
end of
end
part
of
four.
part
So a
four.
whole part five dedicated
Yeah,
to after.
yeah,
Yeah, if they did that or like an epilogue that was years later of them like maybe by the end of the 10 days they realize how to do it, but then it takes time after that to officially do it. And like maybe the end scene is similar to the pre-prologue scene in Way of Kings of them like all abandoning the Oath
Yeah.
Pact besides town. Maybe that's how the epilogue of book 5 is. But to me that still kind of seems like a more far off play, unless the other
The Oath
thing,
Pact feels like a Firefly.
yeah, and my only like pushback on that is I kind of feel like the Oath Pact is not a real solution to anything anymore. Like it was
Hmm.
a band-aid when it worked its best, it was a band-aid. And the only way they got real value out of it was by abusing it. Like it never seemed like a like um complete solution to their issue. And so that makes me think I don't want it to be at the end of book 10 because I want book 10 to have a better resolution than that.
Yeah.
Like, um, so yeah, I'm kind of torn about whether it's going to happen at all now.
So two responses to that. One, I mean, I feel like in this imagined scenario where Odium wins and maybe Taravangian's kind of monkeying around with things and is able to somehow like also get free into the Cosmere. I don't even know if that's on the table, but maybe Taravangian does something to do that. And it just like really seems dark. Then going back to the Oath Pact solution of binding Odium, like that is still going to be a band-aid, and maybe it will seem kind of like a repeat of what they did before, but it seems like if we can do that, we're going to do it, and so it would make sense for it to happen. And I feel like if we know there's going to be a 10-year gap. If there's a gap that to me says like nothing too interesting happens during that time, or there's like a
Mhm.
natural, amount of time where it's kind of like status quo. And so maybe refounding the Oath Pact and having somewhat of a standoff for some amount of time, that could be the 10 years. That's why we're skipping forward in time. And then finally, I feel like Brandon does sometimes in his books just it seems hectic and then he kind of pulls it out, like especially in Words of
Mhm.
Radiance, where the whole time they were kind of talking about year theory or whatever. And
And then
then I
yeah,
never really thought like, wait, we're actually gonna make it to year theory. And then by the end of the book, like everything happens and like boom, here we are at the tower. So you're right in that it does seem kind of hectic to get that far, but I feel like Brandon's done it before.
my pushback on that would be from my personal logic. I would be more inclined to think the Oath Pact would be refounded at the end of book 5 if there was like 100-year gap between 5 and 6. Because we know we're going to get the backstory of some of these main characters now in the later 5, and it would make more
Hmm.
sense if they were around somehow to get that, and being a herald would bring that. And then also, I kind of expected those periods of peace to last more than 10 years, but maybe not. I don't know, like when it
Yeah.
was first founded, how long they lasted. But then also, again, in that situation where Taravangian has won, in however way he wins, and refounding the Oath Pact is the only way to stop him, he has the upper hand. What would make him like he's winning? Why would he agree to an Oath Pact? He already won. He made a contract. Like
Does he need
the
to agree to an oath pact? Like,
from my understanding, it was like
didn't they just
similar
do it?
to no, from my understanding, it was similar to agreeing to the contest. It was like they presented Odium with an agreement, and that was how they bound him. Like he agreed to the Oath Pact. They all did, with the caveat of if they broke, meaning if the like Harold's
Hmm.
returned to Roshar, then he could wreak havoc on Roshar. And I don't know why he originally agreed to it because all he seemed to get out of it was Roshar. But from my understanding, he'd have to like be in on it. And maybe I'm completely off base there, but if that's the case, I don't see him winning this
Hmm.
contest and then being in any position to want to make another potentially binding contract.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever thought about that. I don't know if he agreed or not. He could have. I don't. Yeah, that's something I've never crossed my mind. If you know and you're listening, drop us a comment. And if you want to chat with us more, you can do that on our Discord, Fantology Discord. Invites are in the episode link below, episode description below. Okay, on to maybe another topic. Yeah. So let's just talk like fate of characters. So we've said we think Kaladin will survive. We don't
Potentially
think
Harold.
potentially. We think Dalinar will survive, but will not be in a good place. Let's go through some other ones. Navani, we're thinking survives
100%,
and does something
100%
significant.
survives. Yeah.
She's 50-50 for me. I could go either way. I have no strong feelings on her survival rate.
How about Zeth? And maybe just like Zeth in general. I mean, we're getting his backstory.
He's a
What are
goner.
we?
He's a
You think
goner.
he's dead this time?
Zeth is one that I think death could be an earned reward.
Yeah.
Unlike it wouldn't be the same way in that he has to learn to sacrifice himself, and so that's how he needs to go out in a satisfying way. But I think just allowing himself to not, I think like he's partly living to punish himself,
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I think him becoming at peace with that could be a way for him to die.
I
I'm
just had a
leaning more
thought
towards his
on
death for
Zeth.
that.
Yeah, so Zeth has sworn to follow Dalinar,
Dalinar.
Kholin,
Ooh.
right?
Oh,
And
that's
so
cool.
if
Yeah,
we go down
true.
the
That's
track
his
of
law.
Dalinar going bad, then Zeth must follow,
Man.
right? So he's got like a lieutenant built in.
How do Skybreakers interpret so his ideal now is first to swear to a law, right? And Dalinar,
Mm,
I think that's the third ideal for him, maybe the
yeah.
second.
And
Um,
I'm pretty sure it's the third, and the fourth is like his quest.
the fourth is a quest, and then the fifth ideal is to become the
The
law.
law.
So starting at the third, what happens if he swears to Dalinar to be his law, but Dalinar changes so fundamentally that he is no longer the Dalinar he swore to? Would a Skybreaker take that into account and be like, hey, this law was essentially this before and now it is this? Like,
I don't
does it
think
matter? Or
we haven't really seen Nail take that type of thing into account with what he's doing now.
but the fifth ideal. So he's
Mm.
become the law himself. And then that's the other point. Once he's finished his quest and he that completes his fourth ideal, could he at some point following Dalinar then become a law in and of itself and not have to follow Dalinar anymore? Or
What
will
if
he already
what
be taken at that point?
what if that's what if that's the thing is Todium because remember Teravangian was the first one to employ Seth, right?
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
so what if his plan is to get Seth to have to kill Dalinar by by becoming the wait the fourth ideal was what? The fourth
The
ideal was
quest,
the quest.
which is what
His like
what you'd be
scouring
doing
of
in
the stone
cleansing.
shamans and yes,
Cleansing.
yes, cleansing. Yeah,
A better
cleansing, a
fancy.
much nicer word.
Anyway, that could be interesting somehow. Teravangian finds a way to pervert Seth's oaths
Yeah.
to make him be the one that has to either be the champion or kill Dalinar in some way. Anyway,
I think character-wise, Zeth becoming the champion could fit. I think story-wise, I wouldn't like it. It would be like a regression of
yeah. Okay.
it would make sense character-wise because he's so broken, but I feel like it'd be a regression of character
What
and
if
story.
what if we invert that and say that Seth is able to like Todium doesn't see Seth being able to break his oath and he's counting on Seth being
Yeah.
like following Dalinar and then Seth is able to like swear the fifth ideal
And then
become the law himself and then kill Dalinar.
Yeah, maybe I could. Yeah, I could
And
see.
2 ideals in 10 days. That's a big level up for Zeth.
I mean, it's taken him so long at this point. I could see Zeth either dying to and like finding peace that way, or also having a more Kaladin-like piece of understanding, like becoming a more just and merciful law. Like his fifth ideal is becoming a more nuanced
Now,
law.
I don't know, man. Now I'm liking
That
my
could
theory. I'm liking my theory now, though. I'm
Yeah.
liking it.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Shut up. If Todium counts on Seth being a lieutenant for Dalinar, and then he becomes the law himself, and it's like, nope, I get to make this decision, and Dalinar loses, but then Seth kills him and kind of like negates the loss. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Would if Zeth follows evil Dalinar or Todium Dalinar, because what is evil? Would Nightblood interpret that as evil and then kill Zeth.
As soon as he drew the sword.
Yeah, basically isn't it like
Yeah,
basically
just
true
destroy
that
evil.
any canon, like in canon, isn't true that any evil person who wields Nightblood won't be able to stop using it before Nightblood kills them? Like,
Is that true? I don't know.
so far, that's what we've seen. The only people able to use Nightblood are those who Nightblood does not think is evil. Otherwise, they end up stabbing themselves with Nightblood.
Hmm. We do still have the kind of Nightblood mystery backstory, which I don't know, like maybe we'll get some more hints at, but probably won't be revealed too much until he is gonna do Warbreaker 2 at some point, isn't he? Yeah, he's talked about that.
Are we going to see Azure again in book 5?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that cameo is done.
I'm hoping for it. I don't think it's any more likely than 50%, but it was hinted at in book 3 that she was after Nightblood. I think it'd be cool if she met up with Kaladin and Zeth in the land of the stone shamans, but
Shinobar.
otherwise known as Shinovar.
I know what you're trying to do there. Classic podcast trick of, oh, I forgot the name. Let me try to let me try to come up with an alternative that sounds just as good.
It works 99% of the time. The one time it doesn't is when you're called out on it.
Okay, other characters. We haven't really talked like Shallan or Adolin. I mean, we did say I thought it would have been cool if Adolin went down a darker path.
Yeah.
What do we?
Unsatisfying if that happened now.
Yeah, unsatisfying now for sure. I feel like Adolin could be a kind of a noble sacrifice death type guy.
Yeah.
Like he's a candidate for dying for sure.
He's got a 69% chance of dying, I'd say right now. If I had to use a prior odds right now.
You have to choose a random number.
No. Based on all my prior reading of characters.
But if he dies, then that means that the stuff with Maya, there's got to be some resolution to that before him dying.
Yeah, or it could just be he's awakened her and she's slowly just healing over time. Like maybe he has served his purpose by awakening the Deadeye.
I feel like we get a Ba-Edo Mishram like explanation, something's happening here. The Deadeye, this is going to be explained before Adolin hypothetically dies.
But did he do anything? I mean, this is going to other theories. Did he do anything, or is it just the tower awakening? Because Ba-Edo Mishram being captured severely like weakened the tower to basically be non-existent, as well as creating the Deadeyes, is what we've understood to this point. So was it just the tower starting to awaken, which made Maya start to awaken?
I feel like he did because the other Deadeyes did not react like that. Like we haven't seen other Deadeyes doing this.
But no other Deadeyes have really been, I guess, Testament maybe might start being treated this way. No other Deadeyes have been treated as like people yet, So like,
fair.
Is it just the fact that he treated her as a person after like the light had been turned on?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything special about Adolin himself. Like he himself does not have any like magical proclivity to bring this about, but just like
nothing about like his edge dancer affinity.
I don't think so. I think he remains non-radiant.
Yeah. I think there's a solid chance he dies. Which I think would be a good use of his character.
Which would drive Shallan into some dark stuff, right?
Yeah. We could get a perfect similar moment in that series we referenced earlier.
Okay. Yeah, no, I could see something like that. Yep.
Get a new weave out of it, if you know what I mean. Yeah, Shallan, I mean, I don't know like her state at the end of it. That's another one that's 50-50 for me. I'm kind of leaning towards her maybe staying alive, but not for any particular reason.
Like she stays around because the Ghost Bloods, Sanderson's leaning more and more into Ghost Bloods. Like
Yeah.
she's our character connection into the Ghostbloods, and I think she could be around more long term,
Well,
like more of a
Marcy could just
Cosmere.
be our new connection to the Ghost Bloods.
Yeah, yeah.
I think she sticks around.
I think she
I'm pretty
becomes a world
confident she
topper.
sticks around.
World
Yeah.
Popper.
She,
I could see
yeah.
that. I guess I don't see any like clear like story need for her to stick around.
I just think her taking on different personas, like going to different
Mhm.
Cosmere worlds, would be really cool. Like there
Yeah.
could be several cool, oh man, that's Shallan moments.
Yeah. I am a strong proponent of her mother being a herald theory. I don't
That one
understand how it
seems,
works.
yeah. You don't?
I don't understand like how it would work for.
Well, Jake is against Herald human interactions.
No, I'm not against them. I just don't understand the
Stay back.
don't you put that evil on me.
You went on a diatribe about how weird it was that Wit and Yasna were together.
Yeah, that's different.
Oh, I
Herald
mean,
is
what's
very
not a,
similar.
No, I mean there's similarities there. The Herald thing is also like all the Heralds are insane, so that's another level to it. And they're also basically Sprens, that's another level to it. The
What?
Wit thing, Wit is in his fullest of capacitations, and
So that would make it less strange if an insane demigod hooking up with a mortal is less weird than a sane demigod hooking
no,
up
because the
with
sane demigod should realize something's a little iffy about the situation. The insane one doesn't have that
disagree.
frame of mind.
Disagree.
I mean, I feel like Yasna's got it locked down enough to, consent and be like,
Yeah.
if she's wanting to get with Wit, then like I trust that that's what she wants to do.
Yeah. It's just weird. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But
It
that's
is
not what we're talking
strange.
about.
It is strange. But yeah, let's go back to the
Doesn't fit their
Shalash.
characters. It doesn't work. Shalash, yeah. I don't understand the I think we need more details there. Like it can't just be revealed that like, oh yeah, Shalash was my mom. Like there needs to be like some big backstory there for me to fully accept it. I think it's most likely to be true, but like why did she why did she end up there? How was she able to pass as if she were not insane for so long? And like just like what was she doing, And like and what who was she involved with? The person that
Hmm.
they thought she was having an affair with. Like I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions regardless of who she is there. But
Yeah. I think it's true. There's like too many pieces of evidence towards it. I think it's a good theory. I don't
yeah.
understand at this point, like, what is the impact of this? Like,
Yeah,
okay, it's true,
that
it
true. That
happened.
too.
Like, that's interesting, and it answers, some questions as to what happened with the Oath Pack and Talon not breaking and everything. But like, okay, like it's true. Now what? What does it matter? What is it? What's the point going forward?
Yeah, it can't just be like, oh, so Shallan caused the the true desolation that's happening. Like it has to be more than that. It had, Shallan has to have there.
Hmm.
If that's the case, then Shallan probably isn't going to die. I changed my probability on that. Because she has to have something more. I feel like she has to inherit some sort of
Yeah.
her heraldic power. That's a
Okay.
word somewhere
We'll go
in
for
there.
it.
It is a word.
I don't
Heraldic,
know how
that
to
is a word.
is it heraldic? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we'll go with that. So I guess what we're saying is if this is true, then Sanderson's going to use this as a reveal because it's an interesting thing. And
it's
when he
most
does
likely
that,
true.
yeah, when he has these things, like it's not just going to be like, oh, by the way, this. It's going to be like, oh, this plot is happening, and oh, you didn't expect that this was actually true, which means XYZ, and we haven't really seen like how that part of it would set up. So I don't know, like Harold's Oath Pact. Maybe we're going back to my Oath Pact thing somehow with this. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you could like see her taking her mom's place, kind of.
I mean,
Yeah.
just looking at our list of main characters, you have basically 10 main characters there.
Oh yeah, I think that's the point because we're having 10
Yeah.
back like flashbacks.
Yeah. One and also 10, yeah, 10 heralds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 10's a big number in the Stormlight, which
Yeah.
why
I
is
don't.
10 a big
I
number?
wonder if like do they need to reform the Oath Pact with 10 exactly, or can they?
Well, there's
I don't know. I
10,
mean,
10 orders, but the
yeah,
10 orders came from the 10 honor blades. Do you need
I
all 10
mean,
honor blades
So where did the
right,
to
10 honor blades
reform?
come
right.
from?
I think they came from the oath. I thought the oath pact itself created the honor blades. I could be wrong on that. That's how I've
Or
understood it.
they didn't they have the honor blades? But yeah, okay, we don't really know, so we're just gonna
Yeah.
waste everyone's time if we start to get into this.
Yeah, I think there's got to be some payoff. And I think as much as Shallan is kind of a very special character amongst special characters already, like I think there has to be some weight of her mother's identity on her uh, person as well
I agree.
across all three realms.
By the way, characters for the next 5 books, it's gonna be Lift, Ash, Taln,
Yasna,
Yasna, and Renarin.
Yarn,
And
Talon.
Brandon,
That's gonna be a great one.
yeah, well, and Ash, like both two heralds, right?
Yeah, but Talon,
And,
Talon and Break. He's so cool.
and Brandon did say, like, just because this is the case doesn't mean they're still alive. But I don't know. I can't really see someone who's already like known to be dead being like that's just not as interesting to get into a book like that.
Unless
There's
like
not as much to think about.
unless the framing device is like reading excerpts of The Way of Kings, but you're reading the excerpts of like Yasna's diaries and research notes,
Yeah.
and so you that could maybe work. Not as cool as following character like Kaladin's POV and then getting his flashbacks that
right.
flesh out his current.
Like
Speaking of
Yasna 100% survives.
yeah,
Is that where you were
same,
going?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
They
Yeah,
just haven't we haven't got enough from her yet, and she's an
She's-
interesting character, and yeah.
She's too interesting, too powerful, like too. She seems like such a pillar of a character to the series that we have barely gotten a taste of. That it
Mhm.
would be, I'd be really disappointed if she died, unless there was like extenuating circumstances to justify it. But
Renarin, kind of similar. I like maybe a slightly less of a chance, but I still feel like he survives.
I would lean more towards him dying, other than the interesting effect of being an enlightened radiant.
Yeah, I think he survives. I think it would be kind of weird to kill him off at this point. It seems like he's just starting his character arc in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but he's also been such a side character to me that like if he did die, like he hasn't started enough for it to feel cut short. It would have been like, oh yeah, he's just a side character then.
Yeah, that's true. But if he's going to be one of the main characters of the next arc,
Yeah. I don't know.
Since we're on this killing off kick, like how many characters do you think will actually be offed? Like in my mind, one major death and one minor level, like one A-lister and one B-lister is about what I
would like
expect.
Teft be like a B-lister? Like him
Teft is a
dying in-
B-lister.
Okay.
Dalinar might be the A-lister, or Navani.
I think Dalinar dying or becoming a fuse
Yeah,
type
that's what
thing.
one of those is happening.
I
Or
think
that-
yeah.
That's
think
enough
that's
to
our
even if
A-lister.
even if he doesn't die, that's enough of a tragic ending to say it's an A-lister offing.
I think a tragic ending would be Dalinar being forced to kill Adolin or Adeline. Forget. Like as his first act of like
okay.
first act like
That's two A-listers.
yeah, I know.
Adolin's A-list? I'm just kidding.
Adolin's an A-lister.
You know, he's
Yeah,
an
it would be
A-lister,
an
yeah.
A-lister. But that would be like the most like shocking thing I think of being like, and as your first act, you must kill your son, you know.
I think if he becomes Taravangian's champion, I think he most likely dies to become the champion, just because he gets his soul. And so I interpreted that as like he would die and then
Yeah.
Odium could just pop him back out, not let him go on to the great beyond.
Yeah.
Is there any
become-
chance that we are able to off Lift as a B-lister sacrifice?
I kind of reneging on my Renarin being able to die, but I could see her dying. Yeah. She's another one where we haven't gotten a full arc. Like the arc we've gotten of her, mainly from Edge Dancer, was a complete one in and of itself. You kind of get enough. You've kind of gotten enough to understand who she is at this
We
point.
still don't know what her backstory is, though. It's been hinted at, but not a full explanation.
Yeah, we don't know her full backstory, but I mean in terms of like how like who she is now. So I would be fine with it. It would kind of, yeah, I'd be fine with it either way. She's in a similar position to Renarin as me, for me, where I'm like, she hasn't had a huge arc yet, and so I wouldn't feel like it was really cut short if she just died. She would be just like a side character. But
Honestly, that was mostly a joke. I was trying to bait you into
Steven just
calling
wants
me
left
out on.
out. Steven
I
just
don't-
wants left gone.
uh,
not a big fan.
I will say I like sometimes like the way Lyft is written and other times don't. I think there's a little bit too much of like present day colloquialisms used in her POVs that kind of take me out of it. I don't
Mhm.
mind the childlike
Yearning, yeah,
um
like yearning to stay a child.
or just the childlike like worldview that is conveyed through her POVs, but I think there's a way to do it. Like you can make it feel distinct to her mind without I don't know, writing the way Brandon does sometimes but it makes me feel like I'm reading
Like a YA series.
like the Reckoners, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
Yeah, he did write the Reckoners, so yeah.
well, yeah, I know.
Okay, we
Yeah.
haven't talked about Moash yet. That's a big
Moash
one
is
that,
another one that I think he should
yeah.
die.
I feel like
And
through
not
5 books, he's done after. Like we've had enough of him. It's really been, I think it's been pretty well done. This whole plot
Mhm.
with Moash and Kaladin, the foils and everything. But I think through 5 books, it's probably played out after this.
I could see it being pretty cool if he becomes another like general or lieutenant under Dalinar. I think that'd be
No,
cool.
he's only useful when has no will. So like, and that makes me think he's not good for anything other than being told what to do
That's true.
as an antagonist. And his main purpose is to serve as the foil to Kaladin. And I think that is only useful as long as Kaladin's arc is still progressing. And once Kaladin's arc is done, I think Moash doesn't really have a purpose. And I think it would be really disappointing if he had a redemption arc, because I think that would ruin his whole purpose as a foil to Kaladin. And so I think he's got to die. I think that's his redemption.
Yeah.
Moash is, yeah, I think
Who do you think kills him?
Kaladin. Kaladin's gotta bring him. And I think Kaladin's gonna kill him realizing the mercy it is
Okay.
and that like this is what he needs because
Yeah,
he's
I think that would be pretty good. So you don't think, so when you say no redemption arc, would a tragic like death, like would a sacrifice, what is the word? He goes out, he sacrifices himself to save
I,
whatever because he
I think
realizes
what
last second that he's, yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I think what would be cool is if when Kaladin kills him, it severs his link to Odium. So right before he dies, all the pain and hurt, kind of like what happened at the ending of
Of Rhythm of War.
at the Rhythm of War, where everything came back and he kind of tried to kill himself. Like if that would happen again, where at the end he wanted Kaladin to kill him because his link to Odium was severed somehow.
yeah. I think I don't think it'd be the worst thing, but I think him going sacrificial death, I think he needs to be antagonistic up until the end. I
Yeah.
think that's the best way to go with him. And I think part of Kaladin's arc needs to be realizing I'm as much as I don't want Moash to be redeemed, I don't want him to be redeemed in the way that I don't want him to be like, I've realized the error of my ways and now I'm like I've repented of my like past self. I think his purpose is best served doing the complete opposite of what Kaladin did and just leaning into it and then deciding to give in to the darkness. And so I think part of Kaladin's arc needs to be learning to forgive Moash. I'm a big Moash sympathizer here. I'm I'm not on the F Moash train. Like I think Moash is Kaladin was super close to being Moash, and if not for his bond to Syl, like would most likely be in a similar position. So
I'm in the FMOish camp.
I'm
I
interested
mean,
to see just functionally how what he does, how he operates now that he's blind. That's a major
Yeah.
hindrance for him.
yeah,
Does he become Daredevil
type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be something like that. Like he's going to just move according to the rhythms or the passions or some sort of odium magic.
Hmm.
Kind of an anti-L, if you will.
Okay.
Because L has no rhythms.
A
Nice.
character L we don't know much about other than no rhythms and like had some
No
previous like
title.
fascination with humans back
Yeah.
when he was around the first time and he's coming back into the game late and he's kind of like the traditional Voidbringers are not fans of his.
Yeah.
So
He seems
yeah.
to have too nuanced of a viewpoint on everything.
I
Um,
mean, I'm not a fan of Brandon bringing in these characters for like super big things, so I don't know. But on the other hand, like the books are hundreds of pages long, so you can like that's enough time to develop someone into an interesting character, even if they come in late into the series. So I'm okay with that.
he is kind of constrained in that the Voidbringers didn't show up until really book three.
Yeah,
So like, and at that point, there's so many human characters to resolve and write for. So I kind of get that, but it does limit their character arcs.
we didn't talk about Venli
Um,
at all. Venli was a big character in Rhythm of War.
I think she survives unless she does some sort of noble sacrifice. I think she would work better surviving, but I could see herself doing some sort of sacrifice to ensure
Yeah,
that the singers um, or the listeners, I can never remember which ones are which,
listeners. Yeah,
that
yeah,
the
list.
listeners
Yep.
continue.
Liked her more on my second read of Rhythm of War. I found her more
I
interesting,
like her.
and I'm interested to see what happened. I mean, she is off in the Shattered Plains with this group of listeners, and they have chasm fiends, and like they, there's still some unanswered questions around what's going on over there in the Shattered Plains. Like, feels like there's something special about this area. It has for a while. We've never really gone too far into that. Maybe it was just the Oath Gate and the connection to, like, maybe that's all it was. But like that whole thing about like the plains being shattered in a particular way and never really been answered. So
Yeah,
maybe there's something more that gets explained through this group that's out there.
yeah, yeah. There's still a lot we don't know, and I don't expect all of it to be wrapped up in this one. Specifically with the Oath Pact and Heralds, the Ghost Bloods. I guess, do we expect the Ghost Bloods to all be wrapped up? At least the like Rosharan conflict with the Ghost Bloods wrapped up in this
I
one? I
expect
don't
them
at all.
to I expect them to make a significant advancement that carries over into the next Mistborn series.
So you see them succeeding as well, essentially coming out on
Maybe
top.
I see them succeeding in what they are trying to do. Not like
Eh,
they're not going to win the conflict between Odium and Dalinar,
Oh,
but
no, no, I just mean in
for
terms of their,
themselves,
yeah,
yeah, I
their
think I think they
goals.
will be successful. I think they're going to have success in this book.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, the what are they called? The Unmade. I don't know. I feel like can you fully divest yourself if you are like a splinter or shard or whatever they are of a shard, can you divest yourself from them? Have you guys seen theories about
like a
Shaw
Shah
not,
not.
yeah, kind of
Yeah.
breaking off? I
Well, I
guess that
mean,
would be a
that's
splintering of odium, right? If that happened.
what
Or I guess
Shana has wanted us to believe that.
is that already is it already a splinter of odium? So is odium already splintered a little bit? I don't know, like at what threshold are you considered a splintered shard?
Yeah, never.
But
That all kind of seems hand wavy to me.
yeah, I don't see her. I kind of take her at face value right now. I see her as a neutral party.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
I don't expect any real tricks up there, which I might rue the day I said that next week when I'm proven wrong. But
I think we'll get more tie-in with the Ghost, but whatever ends up happening with the Ghost Bloods and Shaw not will. I think that will happen together, and I think we
with
get a
yeah,
resolution for for whatever is happening with Shaw not in this book. I think things like that that have been hinted at for a few books become more important become resolved to a degree. I mean, maybe some continue as just advance on to second half plots, but things like this, like we'll get something.
Do you think cultivation will have made the right choice
Oh yeah, we didn't
with
talk about
Taravangian?
cultivation. Yeah.
I think,
The right choice in what way?
according to what she was trying to do, like she was preparing Taravangian to become the new, um,
Vessel
uh, the new
or shard holder vessel?
shard
What
holder vessel
yeah.
of Odium. Um, and that's why she gave him that boon and curse. Um, do you think she was successful in the preparation she intended? Do you think she will be successful?
I mean, from the predictions that we've all made, and that Odium wins the conflict and Dalinar becomes the evil servant, and like I think we're saying no.
No.
I think she wanted him to do it, but I think she still wants Dalinar to win somehow.
I think this could be a wild take. I think she gets what she wanted. I think her main goal was probably just Ray's staying on Roche, or maybe she thought Ray's was going to win the contest, and him sending Dalinar out is worse than Taravangian sending Dalinar out.
Or well, I don't know if Reyes was even going to have Dalinar be. Dalinar was going to be Reyes' champion.
No, I mean he made the contract with Ray's.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
So I mean he was his first choice
Right,
for
right,
champion,
right.
but that's why the
So well, yeah, yeah. I was thinking before that though.
yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
So maybe I guess maybe Cultivation's thought was a Taravangian Odium out on the Cosmere is better
Better
than
than a Reyes.
a Ray's Odium out
Yeah.
in the Cosmere. And so in that case, she succeeded.
So she knew it was going to
Hmm.
happen either way and wanted to get somebody more sane to be
Yeah.
the shard holder.
Yeah.
Cool.
I had this theory I brought up earlier that in the Discord that could her preparation of Taravangian be a way to could that be inspired by Harmony in a way to hinder him similarly to the way Harmony is hindered? And the reason I thought this is Odium is all about passion, and the way Taravangian is now, in order to have passion, he only has passion in his compassion mode. So the more compassionate he is, that's when he's more connected to the passion aspect of Odium, and the more the more he's willing to do something pragmatic and like cold, is he's less passionate. There's no emotion in that. It's just pure logic. And so maybe she was trying to do that to temper that, or at the very least put these opposing forces in his mind to make him a little less able to do things.
Yeah.
I don't know the timeline though. I don't know if that lines up with Harmony versus Cultivation giving him the boon and curse.
Well, like Harmony is out there, and that like is an
Currently,
established.
but I don't know in terms of like when she gave Taravangian
did
the
that
boon.
I think it was
happen
well
in the
before.
last?
I think it was
I
well
feel like
before
it.
that.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it?
I don't think
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't think events are happening like bam bam
I think that
bam
this
at this
is
point.
I think that this is kind of during the events. Well, okay, so Mistborn Era 2 happens after this, right?
At least the Lost Metal does. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Like again, that's where I'm like.
But
I'm
this
not
was
sure.
like it was like 100 or so years after Era 1. Era 2 was like 100 years after Era 1, right?
Well,
Couple
Mistborn
hundred?
Era 2,
Couple,
Mistborn
yeah.
Era 2 cannot happen after this because we have those after Stormlight, because we have like
No,
the
it
letters
does.
from
It
Harmony
does.
and
It does happen.
It does. The Lost
Yeah,
Metal
Lost
happened
Metal happened
after,
after.
at least
Really?
after book 5.
Pretty sure I
so,
can double
so
check.
what about the letters from Harmony that are included in the epigraphs? Is that just out of timeline?
I mean, those happened before the events of Era 2, like before the actual character events of Era 2, but after his ascension.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that could be. That would make sense. I found the
Yeah, Stormlight 5, Alloy of Law even happens after Stormlight Archive 5.
yeah, okay, so it's supposed to
Um,
happen in between. Well, according to this Cosmere timeline from,
Well, we
it's
know
got
deleted
81K
by the
views.
review.
So
Stormlight has to take place, 1 through 5 has to take place after Kelsier has established the Ghost Bloods. And I think it's been confirmed that the Lost
Right.
Metal takes place after book 5, though.
yeah,
Stormlight,
according to this little visual that I think Josh and I are both looking at, that looks correct. Okay. Okay, so let's just recap our main theories
Yeah.
so we can look back on this and see who is the closest. So I'm going with the Oath Pact theory. And I mean, obviously none of us are going to be exactly correct, but we'll see
No,
who's
man. Fantology guarantees, man.
That's
Fantology
Fantology guarantee.
guarantees.
All right, these are all Fantology guarantees. Let's see whose guarantee is the closest to actually happening. So my guarantee is the Oath Pact being refounded with several key characters.
My Fantology guarantee is that Seth kills Dalinar.
In book 5?
Book five.
Okay.
Heck yeah, I love that.
My actual one, you can have, but that's my Fantology guarantee.
I found Fantology
Didn't you say
guarantee-
something? What did you originally say? You said something
I
else
said
at
originally
first.
that Dalinar being unleashed on the Cosmere would just be too cool to not happen.
Okay, so let's see that one.
But that I feel like you were gonna say that one.
No, I was just gonna say that Taravangian wins.
Okay.
Like we come up and regardless of whether he wins a contest or finds a loophole out of the contract or some sort of shenanigan, it's a bittersweet ending of him coming out on top, and everyone's left to just be like, well, I guess we'll do the best we can with what we've got here.
Okay. I think that Dalinar becomes Odium's champion, has to kill Adolin, and then Seth has to kill Dalinar. That's my Fantology guarantee.
All right, in
We
order of
purposefully-
likelihood, I think Jake is the most likely, then me, then Josh.
And we purposefully didn't talk about the Dawn Shard, not because we didn't forget, or not because we forgot, but because we wanted to leave that up to you guys to discuss in the comments.
Exactly.
What
That's right.
theories do we have for the
We
Dawn
have
Shards?
we have a deep understanding of this, but we don't want to just let you know what it is.
Yeah. No idea how those are going to play out.
Yeah. Got nothing.
Yeah.
All right, so this is going to drop right at the time where people are most hyped for the book. So give us a listen and then go read the book and see how horribly wrong we all are. We're going to be at Dragonsteel Nexus. Hopefully you are as well, or you will be following along virtually or whatever. And in the next days, weeks, whatever, we'll try to pump out Stormlight 5 content. We were unfortunate we did not get an advanced copy. I think it seemed like they were pretty tight-fisted with the with the advanced copies. I think really maybe only the beta readers. I don't even know what benefit does the Sanderson crew have to giving out these advanced copies at this point? Probably not much. So yeah, we didn't get that. I'm trying to justify a reason why such a big and established channel such as ours would not have gotten one. That must be it, right?
I think the Sigma reader list got lost in the mail.
Yeah.
Ayo.
Anyways, so we'll be reading Wind and Truth along with you. If you want to chat with others that are reading it, there's a lot of communities, but you can always join Fantology Discord. Again, invites to join the Discord are in the episode description below in both the podcast and the YouTube video. Okay, Jake, Josh, thanks guys. We'll see who comes out on top on these guarantees.
All right.
Yeah.
Just Steven.
See ya.
See you later.